Hey y'all, welcome to Killer Queens, a true crime podcast. I'm your host Torella, and like most millennials, I've always had an obsession with true crime. On KQ, you'll find light true crime stories, millennial hypes and gripes, some adult language, and maybe a special guest here and there. Just like a 90s sleepover, we're just a couple BFFs hanging out, so gather round and let's launch right into it. Welcome back, guys, to This Feels Criminal, formerly Killer Queens.
Hello and welcome.
Hello. You know what? We haven't even I'm Torella.
I'm Nikita.
That way you can whose voice am I listening to? Now you know.
Now you know. You could be guessing and that would be fun too.
That would be fun. But if it sounds like turnip greens, it's Nikita.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That's if you think to yourself, oh my God, was she pulled from the dirt of the South? Yes, she was. That's me. That's me.
I think I'm like the LaCroix version of country. I think I have some country, but not a ton. So it's like if there was like an aftertaste of.
Oh, no, I've got enough for both of us.
Yeah, you have the whole thing. You're full flavored.
And this is the toned down version. Like if you could see home videos of me when I was a kid, insanity. And if I've ever had if I start to get a little tipsy or God, my Lord in heaven.
That's so funny.
I just can imagine. I mean, I don't really remember it, but I can imagine me talking to all of the people at the bar when we were in London and them just being like,
oh, Lord.
Sweet, precious baby.
Uh-huh. I mean, even when I worked in California, people would be like, what are you trying to say? Because I would be like, yeah, I'm fixing to do that. They're like,
do what now?
What?
I know.
Y'all don't say fixing too?
Yeah.
Or like, what kind of Coke do you have? They're like, what do you mean?
Well, there's different kinds of Coke. There's Coke, there's Sprite, there's Dr. Pepper.
There's Dr. Pepper.
Sun Drop.
Yeah, there's all kind of Coke. Mountain Dew. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
All right. Well,
enough of that. Now you know who's
already
who.
Off the rails. This is Cardi B trial part 2.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of my favorite trials I've ever watched. Might be my favorite trial. There was so much drama and it was so good.
Okay, well, I'm excited. I'm excited for you to tell me about it because I only saw the clips, which I sent to you, which sparked your interest, and you were like, I'm going to watch the whole thing. So I'm excited to hear what wasn't a clippable moment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure there were plenty.
But yeah, you really could have clipped literally almost every single one. And Cardi B, she's got a reputation for being scrappy.
Yeah.
And sassy. And she was like, compared to the plaintiff's attorney, Ron Rosenjan-Faza, she was like the most buttoned up and professional.
Insane.
Okay, so yesterday we talked about,
Rewind. We recorded part 1 yesterday, but when you listened to this the last time, last week.
Yeah, I got so confused.
We talked about the plaintiff's side of this case.
We did. And they called Cardi B as a hostile witness. So normally she would have been on the defense's side of the case, but that's not how they went. So today we are going to continue our witnesses. And I did not do all the witnesses in the exact order they called them in. There were some that were called out of order for scheduling purposes and stuff like that. But, this is just what we're doing. All right. So the next witness we're going to hear from is Dr. Mulliken.
Okay. Is he the doctor that she went to see that day that they were like, no, he can't be here? And by they, I mean the plaintiff?
No.
Oh.
No.
Okay.
This is the plastic surgeon.
Oh, okay. For the scratch on her face.
From
the metal tip 3-inch nails.
Okay. And remember, Emani Ellis described it initially as an almost scratch to your nose or a scratch to her nose.
Right.
Eventually, she describes it as a scratch to her left cheek.
Mm-hmm.
Scratch. Okay. Just
remember
that. All right. So he gets on the stand. And, they go through his CV and all that. He's a plastic surgeon. All right. So he first examined Emani Ellis in November of 2022, which is almost 4 years after this happened, right?
Okay. Yep.
Here's what he saw. This is what he testifies to.
Okay.
For whatever reason, Ron doesn't see this as a fucking problem. He says he saw 3 vertical parallel marks and described them as highly suggestive of fingernail injury. So what he said was, and if you're not watching on YouTube, sorry, because I'm like enacting this, but what he said is, if somebody's going to scratch, like Wolverine, like fucking scratch your face, okay? That middle finger is longer, so it's going to come up higher.
Right.
And the other 2 fingers on the other side of it will be lower. They'll start lower.
Yeah.
So he says that middle line was longer. The other 2 were shorter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he determined that it was likely fingernail scratches, because the middle scar was the longest. And I was like, how many now?
3 scratches
She only ever said 1.
Okay.
After all of her other iterations. But there was never a time when she claimed 3.
Yeah, no.
That I'm aware of. So then he says, fingernails probably did this. I've dealt with a lot of
fingernails
scars, so like I can tell. I'm like, you don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Is that not really more like expert testimony? Like, shouldn't he doesn't know where they came from. He just knows what he was presented with and how he treated it. There's no way for him to know where it came from.
Well, his testimony should be, she told me this is how she received the injury. And like, unless this was like I was cut by glass and then I can see like shards of glass. And here's
like you debride the wound and remove the shards. No.
Yeah. Like you could tell like this was a sharp object or this was a not sharp. You know what I mean? Like you would probably be able to tell those kinds of things that you could testify to because of just the nature of the injury. Like, was it a jagged cut? Was it a clean cut? Like that kind of stuff. But like
4-year-old scar.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Also, if you're talking about like there's 3 marks and one's longer than the other, and so it was definitely fingernails, like, okay, why couldn't it have been like an animal, like a cat or a dog or like, because I mean, they have, okay. Anyway, carry on.
Interesting you bring that up because on cross, he's going to give some other options as to what could have caused it.
Good. So I'm just ahead of the game. I'm so sorry. I'll pause. You tell me the story.
No, I can't wait for you to hear what he says.
Oh, okay.
So he ends up performing 2 medical microneedling procedures on her.
Okay.
To reduce the scarring and hypersensitivity. He said when he was examining her, she had hypersensitivity at the scar. That, okay, fine, that can happen.
Okay.
He notes that these had to be done in the OR though, because he had to maintain a sterile environment.
Okay.
Because he used topical anesthesia.
Okay.
This is so fucking bizarre to me. I worked in plastic surgery. We did in-office procedures.
Yeah.
We could do things we could do scar revisions in the office where you're excising the entire scar.
Yeah.
We would do mole like removals. We would remove lipomas. That's under the skin.
Yeah.
Those are, he would do earlobe repairs, like, gauges where it split or whatever. You use local anesthesia, not just topical. You're going to use topical anesthesia for injections and stuff like that, typically. With microneedling, yes, you can use a topical anesthesia. Or like when I've gotten my eyebrows microbladed, they'll put, the lidocaine cream on it, let it sit up for a little bit.
So microblade, you did plastic surgery. So obviously I feel like you should know the answer to this. But like, are we talking about like microneedling like you can go get at like an esthetician?
Yes,
because that's not an OR.
Correct.
I mean, I assume though that it is like still a clean and, sterile and ish environment, but like I can go to my local esthetician to get a facial and get microneedling while I'm there. I don't have to schedule a visit to the OR to do that, as far as I know.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, he does say that because of the depth that he did the procedure, it was deeper than cosmetic microneedling.
Okay.
So what he's saying, and I did some Googling.
Okay.
And superficial microneedling treatments, because when I was in plastic surgery, I'm sure microneedling was around. We didn't do it. It was relatively new at that point, if not even mainstream yet. But 0.25 millimeters to like maybe up to 1 is considered like superficial for like fine lines, wrinkles, stuff like that. He says, well, we were deep. We go deeper than you can do cosmetically. So that's why it needs to be in the OR, okay?
Okay.
2 millimeters deep is what he said.
Okay.
Tattoo needles go 2 millimeters deep.
Okay. I was going to say, how deep
is a topical fucking aesthetic?
No.
Anesthetic.
Okay. I was going to say, what does 2 millimeters mean to me? Because like, I get that that's double than 1. But what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, okay.
Right. So tattoo needles are that. And you can get a tattoo literally anywhere on your body and you don't have to be in an operating room.
Yeah.
You can go up to, like, for these deeper procedures, you can go up to like, I saw 2.5 millimeters potentially.
Okay.
Still, these were on med spa websites.
Okay.
These were, you can do it. Now, med spas, you can do the superficial stuff, I think, at just an aesthetics office, right? And depending on the state, things are different. But for a med spa, typically, at least I know here in Tennessee, you have to have a medical director, a board certified plastic surgeon, typically, who presides over your stuff, who is available if your patient has a reaction, if you have a question, and he or she,
they're responsible.
Yeah, they sign off on your charts. They're verifying that kind of stuff, all that kind of thing. They don't have to be on the premises in Tennessee. They don't have to work in your office.
Right.
They just have to be available to you. That would be the 2.5 millimeter, what we're looking at. Typically, based on the many, many, many med spa websites I visited who listed the depths that they do microneedling at. This guy says, I had to do it in the OR. I had to, because it's cleaner and whatever.
Okay.
So he charged $17,500 for both procedures because he's like, well, you got to pay the nurses. You got to pay the anesthesia people. You mean the person who, like I could do, go in and rub the shit on them and say, he'll be back in 15 minutes to do your procedure once it sits and you're fucking numb. Okay.
That's wild.
You got to pay for the materials. You got to pay for the operating room. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Turns out he owns the operating room, which I knew right away because most of these plastic surgeons will have their own operating room. And so they will then keep all of those costs in-house. Fine. But you shouldn't. Now he's in LA, so I know his prices are going to be higher, but $17,500 for 2 fucking microneedling procedures. I think we saw that she was suing Cardi B and he said, let me bump this shit up.
He said, let me itemize the bill.
Now, this is paid on a lien basis. So he agreed to do this procedure depending on the outcome of the case.
Oh.
She's still going to be responsible for that bill.
Right. Regardless. But he was giving her the opportunity to take it out of settlement, award, whatever.
Yeah. He says this is the first time. Now we're on end of day 2. This is the first time we see any photos of the scar because he took before and after pictures.
I would think he would as a plastic surgeon, right? Isn't that how you show off your work?
Yeah. So the problem is I don't really know what he's going to show off because they show him the picture and he's like, oh gosh, you really can't see it in this picture. I mean, this picture just doesn't do it justice. You really had to be there. And I think we had higher resolution photos, but this seems to be a copy of a photo. It doesn't, you'd have to really squint to see it, but it is there.
Okay.
Now they show it up on the big screen and man, did I zoom in and I don't see fucking shit. Yeah. But again, he said it was a copy of a photo, so I don't know.
Okay. But this is still the plaintiff's witness.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So the plaintiff who's trying to get money should have vetted these photos and been like, is this the only photo you have? Is this the best photo you have? Can you give us the original photo of it? Like,
and why would he not have asked for it? Because
he thought he was going to settle.
Yeah, exactly. And he doesn't have anything. I mean, again, that's my rampant speculation. I don't think he has anything. So he says, yeah, she did make some progress with the 2 procedures. Now, she was on the stand.
Oh.
And you see her face, when she testified. There is no scar there. Now, could she have covered it with makeup? Sure.
Yeah.
But she damn sure didn't wipe her makeup off to be like, and here it is.
Okay.
This scar right here.
If I'm here because you have physically injured me and I'm trying to get money, okay, I'm about to come in, no makeup, making this thing look as horrific as like I'm trying to look like Freddy Krueger in this bitch, okay?
Yeah.
Because I need you to feel bad for me and give me all the money.
Yeah.
And her attorney, we have to do an episode about this at some point, but like courtroom tactics. You want a sympathetic jury. Both sides want a sympathetic jury.
Yeah.
I mean, you want them to sympathize with you, not the other person, but still, like, come on.
I'm telling you, it's wild. So he, that's what we have. There's one photo and it's not good.
Okay.
Can't see anything, but just trust that it's there.
All right.
Trust me, bro.
Got it.
All right. So then he says she did make some improvement. She still reported some hypersensitivity after. I really think she could benefit from at least one more treatment, if not more.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't know until after the next treatment.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So on cross, they ask him, okay, how do you know it was fingernails? Because she'd been in, by the time he saw her, one pretty significant car accident.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know that it wasn't something else? How do you know it wasn't something else that scratched her? How do you know it was Cardi B's fingernail?
Right.
That did that. And he said, look, it seemed consistent with fingernails. I've seen a lot of fingernail scratches. Okay. So I know this. He said, but look, I wasn't there. Okay. And I mean, I guess it could have been a dwarf with razor sharp toenails.
What? I'm so sorry.
And I said, I'm sorry, sir, what?
Oh my God. I'm just picturing a garden gnome with like lawnmower blades on its toes, just like running around.
It's like Monty Python, like the thing with the pointy teeth, and like
exactly.
And it so much reminded me of, which I know you didn't watch this trial because you don't care about me, but the Karen Reed trial, the second one, they had the accident reconstruction expert.
Yeah,
I use that lightly for the prosecution, and the defense is questioning his like, okay, but like,
yeah.
The vehicle didn't hit him. There's no evidence the vehicle hit him. Like,
oh my God.
Could this have happened? Could that have happened? Because on defense, you want to do that.
Right. Yeah.
Could this, could that? And this man said, well, I guess it's possible the Lexus shot into outer space. I mean, I can't say that it didn't.
Yeah.
I'm an engineer. We look at every possibility. I'm like, again, if you're saying it's, I was just like, what in the Lexus shot into outer space is happening here? What do you mean a dwarf with razor sharp and why toenail?
Also, question, are people just out here being maimed by fingernails regularly? Because he's like, I've seen a lot of fingernail injuries.
Well,
who? How?
Who? I don't. I was in plastic surgery for like 6 years. I never had anybody come in with a fingernail injury to their anything ever.
I mean,
I never saw that. And my doctor was on call every weekend at the hospital. That was not the kind of shit we saw.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, obviously, but like, it doesn't feel like the most common of injuries to be scratched by a fingernail to the point that you need plastic surgery. Because at that point, like something has dug into your skin.
Right.
Not like a superficial scratch.
Well, and if you think about like in true crime, we hear a lot about like victims fighting back or whatever, and that's how we get
like DNA under the fingernails.
Yeah. But what we then don't see is serial killers being like, I got this scar on my face because she scratched me, or I have a scar from where she scratched me fighting back, and they're fighting back really hard. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but anyway, it was just interesting. We move on to day 3. And Tiara Malcolm, which is the receptionist at his name is Dr. Finke, by the way, the doctor the OBGYN.
Okay.
Precious fucking man. I love him so much. His face, the faces in this trial were so facing. It was so, his face had fucking subtitles and it was fantastic.
Oh, I love that.
But first we get to Tiara, which was his receptionist at the time. And she worked in that building for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, the plaintiff's counsel fought real hard to keep her and Dr. Finke out. And the arguments that Mr. Janfaza decided to make, and again, I am only certified in bird law, so I don't know.
Right.
But these don't feel appropriate.
Okay.
So what he said was, well, basically he said, I know you are, but what am I?
Uh-huh.
And so
that's a valid legal argument, actually. You should have learned that on day 1 of bird law.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Bird law school obviously didn't teach you that.
I went to a discount school, you know.
Oh.
So what he says is, listen, Your Honor, it's only if they get a doctor and a receptionist, I get a doctor and a receptionist. Because I'm only fighting to keep theirs out because they're fighting to keep mine out. They did it first, so now I'm doing it back.
So like, I know you are, but what am I?
And the judge is like, what the fuck doctor and receptionist do you even have? What are you talking about? He's like, well, they work in the building. And he was like, cool. Did they see anything? They heard something happen. He's like, okay, but there was nobody else on the floor when it happened.
Right.
Everybody has testified that there was nobody else on the floor when it happened. The only other eyewitnesses would be Dr. Finke and Tiara Malcolm.
Yeah.
He's like, well, here's what I'll do. And then at one point he even says, look, I don't care about Dr. Finke. I don't care about that. Have him. I don't care. You can cut my doctor and receptionist if you want. They're worthless anyway. Doesn't matter. I don't care what they say.
Oh my God.
Here's what I'll do for you though. It's not fair that they get Tiara Malcolm. I did not have a chance to depose her. They didn't tell me what her name was ahead of time. So here's what I'll do. I'll get rid of my receptionist if they get rid of theirs. Final offer.
Oh,
as if he has the power.
What a strong bargain to bring to the table. I mean.
And the judge was like, no.
Yeah. Please sit down, sir. Thank you so much.
Tiara's going to testify because you had every opportunity to identify her. You literally simply fucking chose not to.
Yeah.
And here he comes again with like, trial wasn't real then, judge. It wasn't real. And so he's like, she's going to testify. And he was like, are your witnesses, the doctor and the receptionist, are they going to say different things? Are they going to say different or same things?
Yeah.
Like whatever. And he's like, basically the same thing. He's like, okay, well then one of them needs to go. He's like, okay, fine. And then he's like, well, when can you get them here? And this was bumping up to the Memorial Day holiday. So like Monday would have been a holiday or whatever. The trial should have been over like that Friday, essentially. He's like, well, they have scheduling issues, judge. And so I think the earliest they could get here is Tuesday. He's like, bitch, this is over before Tuesday. What the fuck are you talking about? And so he was like, you need to call them over the lunch break. You need to figure out when they can be here.
Yeah.
And if they can't be here before Tuesday, then they're not going to be able to testify. So he comes back after lunch and he's like, actually, neither of them are available anyway, judge. So I just won't call him. I'm like, you spent like an hour on this.
Yeah.
Just today.
I mean, just like, this feels like a caricature. Like, okay, this feels like arguing with one of my children. Where they're just like dead set that they're going to make a point, and finally you're like, okay, make it. And then and then they try to, and then they're like, oh, okay, actually, so I didn't think that you were actually going to let me go forward with this. And it turns out I wasn't actually prepared. So
I don't actually have anything.
Yeah.
Sorry. So that was like, oh my God. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So anyway, Tiara Malcolm testifies. She was always fucking going to. It's insane. All right. So remember, the judge already asked Emani Ellis after she had testified. So she's sitting at the plaintiff table, but she's not on the stand. He says, remember, you're under oath. I'm going to ask you, did you call her a couple months after? No, judge, that never happened. The phone call never happened. Okay, so you didn't call her. You didn't ask her to help you, like blah, blah, blah. Nope, I have no idea what they're talking about. Because Ron's argument was, we never could have identified her. We didn't know who she was. Right. And the defense was like, she fucking called her a couple months after. She had her phone number and she knew her fucking name. There's no reason they couldn't have identified her. We had to investigate to find her. Yeah. They did not. They knew who she was. So anyway, she's like,
and also she worked in the building and you knew what office it was. Yeah. You could have just walked your ass up there. Okay, fine.
And asked Dr. Fake. Like, anyway, Okay. So they were like, they tried to use that argument. And so she denies this call ever happened while she's still under oath. Yes. She denies that to the judge. Okay. Tara Malcolm gets up and she's called by the defense. Mm-hmm. So she gets up and she's testifying and she says, yeah, a couple months after it happened, she called me. She asked me to help her out. I said, I don't think what I have to say is going to help you. I don't feel comfortable doing that. No, thank you, basically. Yeah. And so she's like, okay. So they go on and she says that, she says they had closed the office that day. Cardi B was coming in. They knew that she was coming in. So they wanted to be sure that the building was going to be as empty as possible. She said that she was waiting for Cardi B to come into the office for her appointment. And she also says, she was like, I had my sister's baby shower that afternoon, which I ended up being late to because of all of this. Mm-hmm. And she was like, so I was ready to go. So like, as soon as Cardi B walked in, I got her checked in and into the room. I was out of there. I had to drive all the way to Tarzana. Yeah. Like the traffic on the, what are all the ones in?
The one. I forget. The 101. The 404.
On the 101. On the 40. Yes. I forget. I used to drive them, but I don't remember.
The roads.
The roads
with the numbers.
Yeah. That's going to be crazy or whatever. Yeah. So like, she's like, I'm trying to get out of there. So she's like, I'm waiting on her to come in and she's not in yet. And then I hear all the screaming out in the hallway and I'm like, oh shit. She doesn't curse ever in her testimony, but
that's sweet.
That's me. So she gets up and she goes out to see what's happening. And she said, when she gets out into the hallway, she sees Cardi B backed up against the wall, which was Cardi B's testimony. She was in my face and she kept backing me up. She says Cardi B has her back against the wall. They're both yelling and screaming. The plaintiff is in Cardi B's face. They're screaming at each other. So she says, and they're cursing and like all the stuff. And so she says, I just got in between them. So like her back was to Cardi B. Cardi B is behind her. She's facing Emani Ellis. And she said, I'm telling her, like, what are you doing? This is not professional. You are security. You need to get back to your post. Her post is on a different floor. Mm-hmm. And she says at some point, that's when she gets the scratch on her forehead.
The receptionist?
Mm-hmm. She gets scratched, which does bleed.
Oh, snap.
And who was standing in front of her and pointing? Emani Ellis. She also gets struck in the shoulder, hit in the shoulder. And guess who was standing in front of her?
Oh my God.
She says that's what happens. And then the doctor comes out. He gets Emani Ellis to go in the elevator finally. They go back in the office, obviously apologize to Cardi B. Cardi B is like, don't worry about it. Let's just move on with our day.
Well, because that makes them look bad too. I mean, obviously they don't have any control over the security guard, but they have been like, yes, we're going to clear the office. We're going to clear the space. We want you to come at this time, blah, blah, blah. Like,
exactly.
That makes them look bad.
Yeah. Because if he sees high profile clientele, he doesn't want this getting out.
Exactly. And it doesn't appear, obviously, because Cardi B never said anything about this. It doesn't appear that she necessarily like blamed them or thought poorly of them because of it. But just like, that's not a good look for them. So
exactly. Yeah. Just like business wise, it's not a good look. So they get in the office. She gets Cardi B to the exam room. And then she's like, I got out of there. I had the baby shower to get to. Whatever. Yeah. She said, but then later she said when she got back in the office, she gets Cardi B back. The practice manager goes, oh my gosh, your face is cut. And she's like, I didn't even know I had anything on my face or whatever. Yeah. And she said it bled a little bit. It was a minor scratch or whatever. She was like, it did bleed, but I just kind of wiped it with an alcohol pad and went on about my day. It didn't need a Band-Aid, like anything like that. She also testified that because counsel asked her, had you ever seen Emani Ellis on the 5th floor before?
Oh.
And she said, no. For the entire 4 years that Emani Ellis worked in that building, and they worked in the building together, Tiara Malcolm had never seen her on the 5th floor. So,
well, before she said she went to all the floors like she always did.
Doing her rounds just like she always did.
Yeah.
What it sounds like to me, and so basically there is a security like podium where she stands behind. It sounds like she's not supposed to leave that. Like, unless something is happening, but that's where she's supposed to be. So what it sounds like to me is they knew they had a high profile client coming in. They notified security of it. Security told her because she was going to be working that day.
Yeah.
And she was standing there waiting at that 5th floor elevator bay.
Yeah. To see who it was.
Because she never does roam the building until this day. And she happens to be right where Cardi B is getting off the elevator.
Yeah.
Because she would have bypassed the 4th floor, which is where her post was.
Interesting.
Very interesting. So then, obviously, Ron has to get up.
Obviously.
What was very interesting to me is he starts asking about the phone call.
Okay.
But he doesn't say it like that the phone call didn't happen. He words it like, well, when she called you and was asking questions, what specific words did she use? How did she say it? And she's like, I mean, I don't remember exactly the way that she worded it, but it was, help me sue Cardi B.
Yeah.
You know, blah, 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 because of what happened. And she said, I just told her what I saw of it. You were the aggressor. So what I have to say isn't going to help you. I'm not going to do anything. Like, I'm going to tell the truth and it's not going to help you. But he worded it like, when she called you. And I thought that was weird.
Yeah, because we've already established that, according to you,
testified that it didn't happen.
She didn't call her.
So on cross-examination, plaintiff's attorney says, well, if Cardi B was standing behind you when you were in between the two, you couldn't see her. She's like, okay. And he's like,
wait, talking to, who's the plaintiff talking to right now?
Tiara Malcolm.
Okay.
And he's like, okay, so if you get hit in the shoulder, you don't know if that was her hand coming around and hitting your shoulder. She's like, well, it hit the front of my shoulder. And the only hands I could see were the plaintiff's hands. Yeah. And he's like, well, sure, that's the only ones you knew you could see. Because you can't see Cardi B because she's behind you. So you don't know what's happening behind you. She's like, I mean, no, I guess I don't know what's happening behind me. He's like, so theoretically, if she was reaching up, scratching, maybe she could have scratched your forehead, but you wouldn't know it because you wouldn't see it because that's behind you and you wouldn't see that.
Okay.
And she's like, okay. And then he also said that, well, you didn't see what happened before you came out there. So how long from the time you heard the screaming were you out in the hallway? She was like, literally immediately within a few seconds. He was like, okay. But if it had been going on for 45 to 60 seconds before you got out there, Cardi B could have scratched Emani Ellis and you wouldn't have seen it. She could have spit on her and you wouldn't have seen it. She could have called her the N-word and you wouldn't have seen it. She could have done this and that and you wouldn't have seen it. And she was like, but the way he worded questions so stupid. The way he worded it, her answer finally was, no, before I was there, I wasn't there. Because he was like, were you there before you were there or were you there after you were there? Like,
well, that's also, he's also asking the way, it sounds like based on the way that you're saying he worded this, he's asking more hypothetical and speculative questions. The purpose of a witness is to testify to what they saw, heard, literally what they witnessed. Like, you can't testify to something that you didn't witness.
And the amount of times the judge had to stop him and be like, you need to ask something that's fact-based. If you're out of questions, then you can pass the witness. He's like, I'm not out of questions. He's like, okay, well then ask something that is fact-based. Stop asking
and relevant.
Yeah, like it just over and over and over.
Yeah.
So that's the gist of her testimony.
Also weird that he's like, also weird though that he was like, well, Cardi B could have been the one that scratched you. Like, okay, but we're not talking about the scratch on her.
No.
And no one is accusing
Nobody's suing.
Nobody's suing.
Yeah.
Why do we care about her scratch? At this,
and he's like, well,
obviously it shows that Emani was more of the aggressor in that situation. So like, I get it, but like,
if you're him, you don't focus on that.
Yeah, no,
you don't keep bringing attention to it.
We bypass that, and we're like, okay.
And then he kept asking, well, if she could have scratched her before you got out there, were you looking at her face? Like, were you looking for a scratch? Did you know to look for a scratch on Emani Ellis? And she's like, no. But she's like, I was standing
but she was in her face
because I was in between them. Oh, and I hated this. He kept referring to them, especially with Tiara Malcolm, but he does it with Dr. Finke too, as he tries to use the hamburger analogy. And so he's like, they're the buns of the hamburger and you're the meat of the hamburger. You're the hamburger meat in between the buns.
Could we not have gone with you're the filling between the Oreos, or you're the peanut butter between the crackers, or
you're just standing in between? Like, what the fuck? Like,
can we not do a better food analogy?
I know, he's the worst. So she's like, I was standing face to face with her. I did not see any injuries on her, and I didn't see any blood, and I didn't see any spit. I mean, I don't know what the fuck you want me to tell you. All right. The next witness was fucking insane to me.
Okay.
This is Dr. James E. Rosenberg. He's a psychiatrist. And he evaluated Emani Ellis for emotional injury in July of 2023, and he had a 6-hour session with her.
Okay. This is 2023. Mm-hmm. And this event happened in 2016 or 17? 18. Okay, sorry. Mm-hmm. I knew it was close.
The answer is no.
Okay. Yes, got it. I knew it was close to the year of one of the births of my children, and I couldn't remember which child.
Yep. Yeah.
Either way, that we're like 5 years later?
Yeah, this is a doctor for the defense.
Right,
so now that she's being sued. Yeah. So
but still.
Girl, you're not ready for this.
Okay.
You're not ready for this. Okay.
Okay. Give it to me. I'm ready.
He examines her and he does, he has her fill out like questionnaires and like answer questions and all of this stuff. And then he physically talks to her. And he said that he found no significant evidence of emotional injury related to this incident, which like, okay, fine. Yeah. Of course he didn't. But he said that when he talked to her, the only trauma she reported in her entire life was this incident. She reports no other trauma, even though her deposition, which he also reviewed, talked about her mom going through cancer treatment, losing close friends at a young age, losing family members that really upset her. Like,
well, by this point, she's already been in at least one pretty bad wreck, if not two by now as well, correct?
Correct. And she doesn't cite like any of those things, which was, he said, telling. He's like, you have all these other things.
Right.
And you chose not to disclose those to me, even like abuse as a child and stuff like that. He has this information from other sources, but she doesn't give that to him. She just says, everything was perfect and fine in my life. I had a great upbringing. I'm summarizing, guessing, whatever.
Yeah.
Until the day I met Cardi B and my whole life changed. And now I have PTSD and I have all this anxiety and I have all this depression and my whole life changed and all that kind of stuff. So he was like, that was
a red flag.
He said, when she took when we did the testing, her psychiatric scores suggested that she was exaggerating her symptoms to receive a diagnosis. So much so that somebody with the scores that she had would have been consistent with like schizophrenia at the very least. He said actually 2 out of 1 billion people would have had the combinations of symptoms that she reported together. And those people would have to be hospitalized and unable to live a productive life outside of a facility because of how severe their psychiatric symptoms are. That's what she tested, like scored.
Yeah.
Answering the question.
I think that's what a lot of people don't know is that those psychiatric tests, and I know this because of my mom, not because she's crazy. I mean, she is, but like, aren't we all?
Yeah. I'd love to meet her one day.
Well, one day, if you're lucky, I'll let you see a picture of her. But yeah, like, so, she does psychology and whatever. She works in mental health. But I think what a lot of people don't know or don't necessarily appreciate is that a lot of times when people are taking these tests, not always, but there are a high number of people who take these tests who are seeking a specific diagnosis for whatever reason. And these tests are designed to show that as well as pick up any actual indicators.
Right.
So like the test obviously is not foolproof,
right?
But it is designed to catch that margin of error, if you will. Like,
yeah,
we can look at your test and tell you're lying, dude. We know.
Yeah. And clearly she didn't realize this. And she went so hard on this test.
Yeah. That she could have gotten herself committed.
Exactly. Yeah. And so he was like, clearly that's not her situation.
Right.
She has a job that she works and does, well at. By this point, she's in social work.
Yeah. I was going to say, isn't she a social worker too? So like, shouldn't you have some general knowledge of it? I mean, you can't just walk in off the street and become a social worker. Like there is a degree that is associated with that, correct? Like I can't just wake up one day and decide as Joe Schmo that I want to be a social worker now and just go apply and be accepted.
Yeah. And I don't know if she's an actual like licensed social worker, but but still.
In some capacity though.
Yeah. So he said that would be identified as malingering, which he defines as exaggerating symptoms for some type of gain. He said, now I did not formally diagnose her with that though, because she does have other situations in her life, I know this, that could contribute to some of the symptoms that she's having.
Right.
She just did not disclose those to me during this process.
Right.
So he was like, it was pretty bad. He used some, but not all medical records. I mean, really, there was nothing that Jan Faza could fucking do with that. I mean, he tried to be like, don't you normally work for defendants and not plaintiffs? So you're going to try to help defendants out no matter what? And he was like, no, I work with both of them.
I work for whoever hires me.
Yeah, like I used to work with mainly defendants, but I also do plaintiff work. And he was like, And then he was like, well, how come you didn't evaluate Cardi B? And of course, her counsel was like, objection. And they were like, we're not here to talk about Cardi B's mental health. That's not an issue here.
Yeah.
Like, she's the one who's bringing the claim of mental
distress or whatever.
Yeah. So that, and then he said, the incident is a stressor, not a trauma. I'm not even putting that in the fucking trauma category.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Dr. Finke testifies. He's the gynecologist. He is fantastic. I love everything about this man.
Okay.
He has these cute little glasses. He's just so cute. He's precious. He is so funny. His facial expressions are just the best. And Jan Faza is an asshole to him and
shocking.
Yeah. So he testifies that he, hears the yelling outside. Now, he also testifies, he was like, there is a hallway, like in the hall, then the lobby of our office, then there's like the kind of back area, then there's another hallway, and then there is my office where I was sitting with the door closed, and I heard that shit all the way back there.
Yeah. So he's basically like, I'm in the back. I'm as far away from the outside hall as you can get.
Yeah. And he's like, it was bad. So he said, I get out there. He says the same thing. Cardi B is backed up against the wall. Emani Ellis is in her face. By the time he gets out here, though, Tiara Malcolm is in between them because she's come out a few seconds before that. He described it as an epic yelling match. He was like, there were profanities on both sides. There was finger pointing. There was some swatting. He said that he saw Emani Ellis hit his receptionist in the shoulder. He was like, I physically saw her strike her in the shoulder. I watched it happen.
Write that down. Plaintiff.
Jan Faza doesn't believe that.
Oh, okay.
And he says that he is trying to get Emani Ellis's attention. And he's like, he said he was trying to, how did he say it? I'm trying to match their body energy or body language or something like that. But he was like, I had to be loud. I had to, you know, and I was like, hey, this is not okay. What are you doing? You are security. This is not professional. You need to get in that elevator. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. And he said at first she wasn't having it. And he said, and I heard her yell to Cardi B, I will fuck your shit up.
Oh.
And I was like,
Interesting.
And he was like, finally, she got into the elevator and she left. But that is what was happening. So the defendant attorney is like, all right, let's talk about what happened. Obviously, we're not going to talk about her medical care.
Right.
But when you got her into the office, what, kind of what happened then? Was she really upset? And he was like, I mean, we apologized to her. She really didn't seem all that bothered. She wanted to get to the point of why she was there.
Right.
We felt terrible. And he said, I felt so bad about it that after I contacted the building manager and the practice manager, and I was like, look, this is not okay.
Right.
We cannot have any patients. He was like, this happened to be a high profile patient. We can't have any patient's privacy being violated like this. Like, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So he contacted them. The building manager took a statement from the receptionist and from him. And he was like, basically, because, Emani Ellis is like, Cardi B got me fired. She blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, girl. I mean,
it was me.
I guess I did. Like, I told them she needs to go.
Tell Cersei it was me.
Yeah. Like, I said she's got to go. This can't happen. So he also testified that Cardi B's fingernails were not 3 inches long. And he said, actually, what's interesting about this is, when you have women coming into the OBGYN, a lot of times they can be nervous and it's kind of awkward and, whatever. And he's like, so I try to like break the ice. And so he's like, I've made a habit of paying attention to fingernails and I will comment on them or whatever. And he was like, so I do remember that they were much shorter than 2 to 3 inches. They were certainly not that long. He said, I don't remember what color they were, but they weren't sharp. They weren't pointy.
Yeah.
They did have some like art or decoration on them, but it did not appear to be pointy. He was like, I would say it was not completely flat, but it did not have sharp edges that I could tell or anything like that. And
which is consistent with what she said.
Yeah. And they were like,
and the photo.
Exactly. And he said, he was like, I saw the scratch on Tiara's face after, it was minor. She seemed okay, but, we got it cleaned up. But he was like, she's the only one that got a scratch and she's the only one that got hit. Nobody else did. So cross-examination.
Let's do it.
Ron gets up and he goes, okay, well, since you're the fingernail guy.
Oh my God.
And Dr. Finke just
the fingernail guy.
Yeah. Since you're the fingernail guy.
Okay.
And then he goes, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to make a joke. Okay.
Okay.
It was so
okay.
It was so weird. And like, obviously you were trying to be rude and obviously you were trying to be snarky. Like, it was just so crazy. And like, I feel like, because then after that, the fingernail guy thing kind of became a joke. And then when defense counsel got back up for like redirect, he was like, since you're a fingernail guy or whatever, haha. And like, they kind of laughed about it. But like when Ron did it, it was really, he was trying to be mean or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, he's probably got like fingernail guy on his fucking business cards now. Like,
I mean, I would.
Yeah.
How do you not?
It needs to be in his LinkedIn bio, like everything. Like, hey, it's me. I'm the fingernail. He's never going to outrun that.
Fingernail guy extraordinaire.
Exactly. It was so funny. And he was such a dick about it. And then he said, okay, well, because, he testified he saw no scratches on Emani Ellis' face. He didn't see spit, all that kind of stuff. He didn't see any injuries to her. And so Ron is like, hang on a second. Aren't you a gynecologist? And he's like, yeah, I'm a gynecologist. He's like, doesn't your profession deal with below the belt? And he's like, yes, mostly. And he's like, well, then why were you looking at the plaintiff's face during the altercation to notice whether or not she had a scratch or a cut on her? And I was like,
is he implying that he should only be looking at vaginas?
At her vagina?
Okay.
With her clothes on?
Right.
When she's not in the office?
Yeah. Okay. It seems like he assumes that if one is a gynecologist, that all they do is look at vaginas all day, every day, whether on the clock or not.
Yep.
Clothed or unclothed. Like they just show up they just show up at the party and they're like, hello, I'm a gynecologist. Please remove your pants so I can see your vagina.
Mm-hmm. Or does he think he has X-ray vision where he can see it through? These people are completely closed.
Actually, yeah. You know what? I bet he does actually believe that. Why do you think he's wearing those little glasses, Torella?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and if you think he didn't ask about the glasses, he's like, do you normally wear glasses? He's like, yeah, I mean, now I do. He's like, were you wearing glasses that day? He was trying to insinuate maybe you had bad eyesight and that's why you couldn't see the scratch. And he was like, no, at that time I wore contacts. So I would have been wearing contacts. I have to wear one or the other, but I've been wearing glasses for probably the last 1 to 2 years or whatever, however often he said or long he said. So yeah, why weren't you looking at her vagina?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because that's weird. Why would you look at anything other than her vagina, gynecologist?
Right.
What a weird fucking question. And then he starts trying to go in on he does the whole, wasn't this 7.5 years ago? How do you even remember any of this stuff? Did you write it down and blah blah blah?
Yeah.
He's like, I remember it because it had never happened before.
Yeah.
It was awful. I don't want any of my patients to have to go through that.
Yeah.
Like, no, dude, I remember it. And so then he's like, okay, well, were you paid to be here? And he's like, no, I wasn't paid to be here. He's like, did you have patients on your schedule today? He's like, yeah, I had to cancel half of my day to be here. He's like, why would you cancel half your day if you're not being paid to be here? And
because when you're subpoenaed, you can't not show up.
Guess what? He wasn't subpoenaed. He said, were you subpoenaed to be here? And he was like, no, actually, I wasn't. And so Ron tries to go in on, I think the point he's trying to make is you think this is you're trying to ingratiate yourself with like Cardi B or she's a celebrity, so you're trying to help her. And he's like, well, that's weird. It's super. He makes this fucking comment as he's questioning this witness. He says, it's actually really weird to me that, they must have been so confident in you to show up without a subpoena, huh? That they didn't even have to pay you. And the defendant's attorney is like, oh my God, objection. Like, what the fuck? You can't do that. And he was like, which also you're just going to dig yourself a deeper hole because then, Dr. Finke is like, well, it was really important to me to tell the truth.
Exactly.
And to, show up and actually talk about what happened because what your client says happened is not what happened.
And his reputation is on the line with this case, even though it's not about him and his office. Like, when the situation comes out and it's his business, like that's going to get attention.
Yeah.
But also if he had refused to show up, they could have subpoenaed him.
Yeah.
Like does he think that a lawsuit can happen and you can just be like, no thanks though. I mean, you can say that, but like there is recourse.
Right.
To getting you there. If it's important and it's necessary, there are ways for them to get you there.
Yeah.
And being cooperative does not imply anything. Like if I'm a witness, if I'm an important witness in a case and they're like, hey, we need you to be here. They tell you what day and time as soon as they know it. It's not like they wait till the last minute and they're like, hey, gotcha. Like, why would I put myself and them through the trouble of getting a subpoena, having me, like doing all of these things when I could just show up?
Right.
Especially in his case, like it doesn't affect him. It's not like he's going to jail or not going to, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
What an idiot. Okay.
It's fucking wild.
I mean, witnesses do weird shit. I get it. But like, come on.
That's basically, and then the last thing that he testified to was that the plaintiff was holding a phone in one of her hands.
Oh, yeah.
It would go up to her ear and then it would come down to her side and it would go up to her ear. Like she would kind of move it back and forth.
Mm-hmm. So she was presumably on the phone.
Seems that way.
Okay.
All right. So closing arguments.
So wait, the defense doesn't even call Cardi B?
No, they just cross-examined her.
I wouldn't call her either. There's
really no.
The damage has been done.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure they don't call her because it all went so fast. I don't think she gets back up on the stand at all.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what she would need to get back up on the stand about.
Yeah. And they went out of order with so many witnesses. It was like it wasn't a clean, like we start and then we rest our case and whatever.
Yeah.
So after this witness testifies, because Jan Faza has no other witnesses because they can't be here, the defense is like, we rest. And then Ron is like, I mean, yeah, I fucking guess I do too, whatever. So then on September the 2nd is when they do closing arguments. So they have the break and then they come back and they have that. And he says, first of all, every time he would get up, like after they would have a break or like the next morning or whatever, he would look at the jury every single time and be like, thank you for coming back today. I'm like, they fucking had to. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, and also you're not supposed to address the jury unless it's an opening or closing, right? Like you're not supposed to directly address the jury.
Right. But if this
he did every time.
okay,
like,
well,
whatever. So he gets up and he's like, thanks for coming back today. And they're like, oh, what other fucking choice we have? So
we're just
he's like,
so happy to be here. Actually, honestly, I would have been happy to be there. I would have been like, what?
Oh my God, I wish.
A time.
I know, right? Yeah. So he reiterates that you're going to have that photo of her scar and you're going to have to look, I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to have to look real fucking hard to see it. Okay. Because picture's terrible. But it's there. Trust me. It's there. So you can decide for yourself what you see there. Then he goes, and you will hold on to your butts, okay? Because he says, you know, this defendant, she's a celebrity. She thinks she can just walk around doing whatever she wants. Did you hear the profanity she used in this courtroom? How disrespectful. I have never, ever heard anybody, even a defendant, get up and talk like that in the presence of this honorable judge, in the presence of you.
God. Wasn't he the one that made her repeat what she said?
Yeah, let me flashback. Let me go back to Ron being like, say it to her face. She's sitting right here. Say it now.
I know. I will never get over, I didn't call her fat. I called her a bitch.
Yeah. Say it to her face. Dead. She's sitting right here. What the fuck is happening? And then he's like, how disrespectful. I can't even believe this. Then he says, look, this was a violent and brutal attack, okay? And then he says, this wasn't just a simple car accident where you might get a couple bumps and bruises.
Why would you?
She suffered a violent attack and she needs to be compensated for it. Like, are you saying that getting possibly minorly scratched in the face is worse than a car accident?
That's what it sounds like.
But there were words that were hurtful. And I guess I'm rubber and you're glue. And it did not bounce off.
Yeah. Sticks and stones and words hurt her bones.
Oh my gosh. So then he goes on this whole thing about like, you know, after the pandemic, we all realized what life is really about, like how precious it is. So like she needs money to move on with hers. Okay.
Me too.
And then he's like, she lost so much because of this. She would have gone on to be in the FBI. She wanted to be in the FBI, but that's dashed now. Her hopes of the FBI are dashed.
Did we ever talk about that at any point in the trial?
Never. That was never entered into evidence. No.
Okay.
She was fired from her security guard job. She's got a different job now, but like she wanted to be in the FBI. He tries to go on and on about how she went to college for this and that, and she did this. And the other attorney is like, dude, we didn't talk about that. Facts on evidence. Like, stop. Like, and the judge
Can you object during the closing statement? Objection. What
he
objected.
Fuck? The judge sustained, I believe it was 18 objections just in the closing argument.
That is wild.
It was fucking insane. It was fucking insane.
Okay.
He's like, you know, all she wants is just to move on with her life. Now,
with $24 million, please.
At one point, I guess the defense said, you know, she had gone to Kaiser Permanente for, you know, different medical issues or whatever. And not once did she ever mention this scratch on her face when they ask her about her medical history and like all that kind of stuff. And so this man, trigger warning for vaginal discharge because it is entering the chat.
Blech.
This man decides to, nobody said anything about vaginal discharge until this very moment in his closing argument. And he says, well, of course she didn't mention the injuries she sustained with this when she went to Kaiser because she went there for vaginal discharge. If you're going there for vaginal discharge, you're just going to talk about your vaginal discharge. Why would you talk about other injuries when you're going for vaginal discharge? He said it so many times. And I was like, this woman has got to be like, are you fucking kidding me? Why are you talking about vaginal discharge right now?
Hurtful.
Like, please don't release. Why are we doing that? That has nothing to do with anything. He says it so many times. And then he talks about like, look, if Tiara Malcolm got hit or scratched or whatever during this altercation, I mean, that's the risk she took by getting in the middle. Nobody told her to do that.
So his argument was she was asking for it. Okay.
The only person who's physically injured during this altercation, she fucking asked for it, but my client needs to be paid $24 million. Yeah. It was astonishing. And then the defense got up and just, recalled things in the trial because...
if I was the defense, I would have gotten up and I would have been like, here's my closing statement. And if you're not watching the video, if you're just listening to the audio, we gave you homework, and your homework was to go watch the clip of Cardi B explaining how she knew that the other girl was bigger than her. And I'm doing that same motion. So like my closing statement would literally be like me pointing at my eyes and me pointing at the plaintiff and being like, duh.
Yeah. Like, or bring the picture up on the thing. And he actually did a pretty long closing. Like, he probably could have just not said anything.
Yeah. He could have just put the picture up there and been like.
Yeah, exactly. He used demonstratives. He had a timeline of events and like her changing stories. I don't think he needed to do that. Yeah. I think it was pretty obvious.
Listen, he wasn't fucking around.
No. And he did talk about, like the profanity is not an actionable offense and like, all
it's
this
not.
stuff.
Exactly.
So anyway,
he did not talk about vaginal discharge though, right?
No, he did not.
Thank God.
Then plaintiff's attorney gets back up for his rebuttal and he's like, everyone gets an attorney, even Cardi B. It's like,
okay.
What does that mean? He's like, but the plaintiff who was actually there and has never done anything wrong in her entire life is telling you what happened. And the other people that they brought up to tell this, what happened, they were there after the fact. Are you going to believe someone who's a security guard, who's sworn to protect, and who was in charge of that building? And if you don't remember in Beverly Hills, if they tell you have to leave the building, they are put in charge by the landlord, and so you have to listen to them. Or are you going to believe somebody like Cardi B who has anger problems? And the defense was like, objection! You can't talk about that. And he was like, fine, I withdraw the question. Or I withdraw, whatever, fuck off. And then he's like, I did ask Dr. Mulliken if a left or a right-handed person made the scratch. And he was clear that it could have been either one. Because I guess one of the things that they talked about was like Cardi B is left-handed. And if she was going to reach over and scratch, it would have gotten Emani Ellis's right cheek versus her left cheek. And they were like, it was like a whole thing. But Dr. Mulliken also said it could have been a pointy-toed dwarf. So
that's true.
I really don't know how that helps you, sir. Verdict comes back in 45 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Cardi B is found not liable on literally every single claim. There is no money awarded to Emani Ellis.
Thank goodness.
But then after the trial. So literally, like, trial is over. The judge is like, y'all get the fuck out of here. I'm done with this. And the defense pops up and they're like, hey, we would like to submit an order to show cause. I think, is that what it's called? They want sanctions against Ron Janfaza.
Yeah.
Because he has repeatedly violated the court orders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One of them was, that the judge put in a motion, in an order, you may not have any mention at all of alleged gang ties. And after it happened, when he said that, he opened with that when he questioned Cardi B, the judge immediately goes, counsel, you know better. Like, no. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. And they talked about it at one point outside of the presence of the jury. And he said, I thought you meant I couldn't ask if she had them previously, but I was asking if she had them now. And he's like, no, the fuck you didn't think that. Like, you knew what you were doing. They also alleged that he breached motions in limine. I don't know. Which one?
Limine.
Well,
that's how my
character arguments, references of prior bad acts. And then for each, so he ends up filing this order. For each allegation that he submits, violation, he references the transcript from the trial and like actually includes that in there. And
love it. We love to see it.
I mean, so there were 25 distinct violations of court orders and rules of professional conduct.
That's an insane number of violations for a 4-day trial.
No, that's just in the closing argument.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
That's even more wild.
And well, I think so. I feel like there was like 18
that's
in the closing argument. Arguing facts not in evidence. He referenced an expert testimony that was actually barred from the trial. They were not supposed to talk about it. He did not testify. He did that multiple times. Who are you going to believe? Cardi B has all these,
issues.
Issues or whatever. He says Ron's misconduct was egregious, persistent. Despite multiple sustained objections, warnings, and admonitions, he persisted. He made no effort to mitigate and continued the same misconduct through his closing.
Love it.
So Janfaza responds, and he says this is a frivolous order to show cause. Defendant obtained a defense verdict and should be happy with the result. Instead, she's decided to file a frivolous application for OSC.
Okay, so basically his defense for all of his wild behavior is, well, you still won, so we should just forget about it because it didn't work anyway.
So get over it. Yeah.
Okay.
So then he says, listen, Judge, in his fucking order, he says, plaintiff's counsel is not a quote unquote seasoned trial attorney. I did not intentionally attempt to violate any court orders.
Okay.
I didn't know. I'm just new here. He's not. He's been a lawyer for like 20 years.
Okay. Anyway. But ethically, as an attorney, if you are hired to do something that you are not well-versed in, or like something that's out of your wheelhouse, something you don't have a lot of experience in, you are obligated to like essentially have someone who is familiar with that, like kind of supervise you. You have to like let people know. Like you don't get to just say, well, you hired me and I wasn't very good at it, so sorry.
Follow
like
the rules.
You still have an obligation if you take that on to be prepared and be, I don't want to say expert, right? Because like there are attorneys who have a niche thing and like that is their thing. And I would say they're 100% an expert at it.
Yes.
But if they are asked to do something else and they agree to do something else, they have to be proficient at it.
Yeah.
They can't just be like, well, you knew I was a defense attorney, but you hired me to do your will and you knew that wasn't my thing. So whoopsie-cadoopsie, you should have known better. Like, no. Right. You don't get to do that because this is not a criminal matter. You're not appointed to this. Like you could have said no. And so if you take it on, you take on the responsibility of being adequate at it.
It's just bizarre. Like he's just like, I'm just a baby. I didn't know.
I know.
Like it's so weird. And then, so he tries to file his own like, oh yeah, well, they did stuff first. So if you're going to punish me, you're going to have to punish them too. And like all this stuff. Yeah. So then Cardi B's attorney responds again.
Yeah.
And is like, first of all, he cited no transcript. Anything for any of the allegations that he has. This is very clearly just pure retaliation after our legitimate filing. We didn't violate any court orders. You know, he filed this in bad faith, misuse of the I'm not a seasoned attorney. You know, like you can't claim inexperience after decades of practice. All of these things. And then Cardi B's attorney cites his 2023 mistrial incident as evidence that this is a pattern and not a fluke. And oh my God. So in 2023, he was doing a medical malpractice suit against an attorney at Mark Garagos's firm. And he and this attorney at some point during their trial, they're on like a break or whatever. They go out into the hallway to, I don't know, lunch break or whatever, but they're getting out in the hallway. Apparently like, okay, now we know how Ron Janfaza acts in a trial. Do you think he was being a fucking douchebag to this guy? I would say probably so. So I guess they had maybe some words while they were still packing their stuff up or whatever. So the other attorney goes out in the hallway and he's waiting on his colleague to come out.
Okay.
So before his colleague comes out, apparently, Ron comes out and goes, "You want a piece of me now, bitch?" And he's like, "What?
What are you talking about?"
They start exchanging words. Ron comes up to him and shoves him so hard that apparently this man spins around and his glasses fall off his fucking face. And Ron goes over and stomps his glasses.
Shut
in the hallway of the fucking courthouse.
And you know people are out there.
And the jurors saw it. Some of the jurors saw it. So the judge had to declare a mistrial. He was fined $22,000 in sanctions because of all of this. He tried to file his own motion saying that nothing happened. I don't recall it getting physical. It was just a verbal altercation. Where does that sound like it's coming from?
Okay.
And he was like, and actually, I'm going to file something against them because they're the ones that were, I don't know, doing whatever. Again, I know you are, but what am I? And the sheriff's deputies that were at the courthouse would have seen it. And it's like, okay, well then get them up and let's hear what they have to say. Because if it's just insane. So
wild.
I cannot wait to see what happens with this order to show cause. I think he needs more sanctions. He is.
This is in California.
Mm-hmm.
I bet.
And there's supposed to be a hearing maybe later this month, I think.
Okay, well, we'll have to do an update on it because
the girlies are fighting. It is so funny.
The girlies are fighting. I'm going to assume it's probably the same in California, but I know in Tennessee, at the end of the year, there's this awful CLE you can go to. And if you're listening and you put the CLE on, it's great. And I love it so much. Thank you for doing it because it's how I get my hours every year. It's 2 days of nothing but like updates that have come out in the past year to the laws, right? They give you a book. And okay, I will say I don't do private practice and I've always worked in a place that I didn't have to do that. And so to me, it is good information to have, but like it is not necessarily relevant to the work that I do every day. So for me, it is a very boring CLE. Okay. Full disclosure. But the highlight of the CLE every year is on the last day. They go through attorney sanctions.
Ooh.
Everyone who has been reprimanded for the year, it gets recorded in the book.
Ooh,
yeah, walk of shame. I bet California does the same thing. So maybe we need to just put a little reminder on the calendar to take a look and see if his little name pops up. Honestly, you could probably Google it and find out if he's been reprimanded before. But yeah.
I cannot wait. Yeah. And okay, so when he did this 2023 thing, the judge declared a mistrial and then recused himself from the case altogether.
Yeah.
And Ron got up in front of the judge and was like, "Judge, please don't recuse yourself. Like, please don't do this. You don't have to do this. And you don't have to report me and you don't have to sanction me. Like, you don't have to do any of that. You can if you want to, but like, you don't have to." And then he says, "And I'm just still young. I'm a young attorney. I could still get married and have kids." He's 47 at the time that he's saying this. Okay. "I could still get married and have kids. Like,
you could.
Don't do this to my reputation. Like, it's going to damage my reputation." And then he goes, because the judge is not having it. He's like, "I'm fucking recusing myself and I'm fucking reporting this," and like, whatever.
Yeah.
And Ron is like, okay, look, I wasn't going to do this. I didn't want to have to do this. I wasn't going to do this. But look, you're my favorite judge.
Oh my God.
I've always loved you. I've always thought you were the best. And my client loves you and really wants you to stay on this case. So please don't do this to my client. And it's like, bitch, you did this to your client.
The amount of just like ethical violations and unprofessional behavior is insane.
He's like, "I'm just a baby."
I mean, I say that all the time. I'm just a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Just a baby
that's
attorney.
his legal argument, and it did not work out for him. So that's the Cardi B trial. You guys can see why watching every second of this was the highlight of my life.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I just love his argument that he's just a baby attorney. Do you know that I had been practicing for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and I got a case that I was like, oh, I was talking to my supervisor. I was like, this is a lot. And do you know what he said to me? He said, "You're not a baby shark anymore." Because a lot of times they call new attorneys baby sharks because
even before like do
yeah,
or
because I know for whatever reason I don't understand that you didn't know that people don't trust attorneys.
Mm.
But one of the common analogies is that attorneys are sharks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so when you're a new attorney, you're a baby shark because you're just little.
Okay.
And he told me I wasn't a baby shark anymore, and I was like,
that was rude.
That's hurtful. Yes, I am. I am still a baby shark. Leave me alone.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Well, I can't believe he didn't say that. I can't believe he wasn't like, I'm just a baby shark.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it. You guys let me know what you think. Let me know which clips you saw. Let me know which facial expressions were your favorite. I mean, I just want to know everything.
And let us know if you have done a deep dive on the plaintiff's attorney and what dirt you've found, because I am interested.
Yeah. Now, don't go real world. Don't contact him.
Oh, yeah. No. This is not that. This is not that at all.
Never that.
No.
But yeah, just let us know what you find.
If you find anything interesting, though, let us know.
Please do.
Don't go after him.
Yeah.
Because that's not okay.
All right. Well, we love you guys, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye. If you like this episode, be sure to like this episode and follow the show so that you never miss out on new episodes. Get in on the conversation on Facebook and Instagram. You can find us at Killer Queens Pod, or you can join our Facebook discussion group at Killer Queens Podcast, where we discuss cases covered on the show and all things 90s. If you want to submit a case to be covered on the show, visit killerqueenspodcast.com/case submission and just complete the form. And if we cover the case, we'll give you a shout out on the show. Lilas.